Happy afternoon. It's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. My favorite topic lately is Miss Kate Gosselin. Man, that chick, whew, she got lots going on, like a lot. And I want to talk about what's been in the news lately. Now, we've talked a lot about some of the stuff from the book that was written by Robert Hoffman in 2011 and then republished again in 2014. And basically what we're looking at here is that Jon Gosselin was in a 10-year gag order following the divorce from him and his wife after his divorce to Kate in 2009. During the middle of their divorce, I discussed in my video last week about how TLC orchestrated the divorce to make it appear as though Jon had cheated on her, along with stolen money and was the bad guy. And we talked about that those were the allegations that were alleged by Robert Hoffman in the book Kate Gosselin, How She Fooled the World. He had emails and text and all kinds of stuff. And so now that it's lifted, Jon actually spoke to the Daily Mail, and he talked a lot about what's been going on, what happened with Colin. He finally did answer what happened with Colin. He was placed in a psychiatric facility, he says, by Kate for over 3 years. He had no idea where his child was. She didn't tell him. He just disappeared one day. After finally receiving a note from Colin that he slipped to a friend telling him of where he was, it took Jon over 1.5 years to actually get Colin home. And now Colin is living with his father and, according to Jon, doing really well and is very smart, and he's in a much better position than he was with Jon, and he says when he was with Kate, and he says that Colin is alleging that his mother abused him. This is also another claim that was in the book written by Robert Hoffman, that she was more so violent with Colin than any of the other kids. She had a wooden spoon called the spanker, and she's been caught in photos from way back in the day of spanking the kids by the paparazzi. And Robert Hoffman has journal entries from her, and where she talks about how much she did this to her kids and prayed to God that she wouldn't hurt them, and actually discussed in one of her journal entries about how she was seriously concerned that she might seriously injure Colin, and he was 2 years old. So Colin and Kate, he has ADHD, apparently something that Kate can't handle, and he has no conversations, no connection to his mother. According to Jon, in the interview with the Daily Mail, she spoke with him. She saw Colin 3 times in the course of 2 years and spent less than 3 hours with him in total while he was in this facility. While he was in the facility, Jon didn't know where he was, and so literally Colin was cut off from his entire family. I can't even imagine how terrible that must have been for this child. Now, in terms of Hannah left the family in 2017 following an altercation with her mother at an orthodontics appointment where Kate showed up and wanted to take Hannah with her, and Hannah refused to go. Hannah ultimately went home with her father, and Jon alleges that, and I apologize you guys, I have just finishing up my construction. This is going to be one of the last days. Jon alleges that Hannah told him that she didn't want to live in the house anymore because of the amount of pressure her mother put on her to be in charge of all of her siblings, because Kate had deemed her the leader. And he also says that Hannah experienced abuse by her mother. He has said also that Kate has alienated him, all of the kids from him, and that Kate has very limited communication with both Hannah and Colin. So obviously it was pretty surprising when the newest episode last week of Kate Plus 8 debuted on TLC. In the episode, Kate is asked about where Hannah is. And during the confessional, she says, Hannah, it's sad for us because, they're getting older and they're making different choices and they're doing different things. And she opted to stay back with her dad, actually, which again, her choice. Whatever, it's not optimal for mom, but it's something that I support. And, we just adjust and move on. And she also said she's with her dad, Jon, and she was not able to come, and that's sad. And that's the second trip here, actually, for us that she hasn't been here with us. And that was after the producers asked her, "Where's Hannah?" So a source then connected to Jon and to Hannah actually blasted those statements shortly after the episode aired on TLC last Tuesday. And they say that Kate never even told Hannah about the trip. In fact, they said that Kate rarely even reaches out to Hannah. She has very minimal communication with her daughter, and it wasn't that Hannah didn't want to go. It was that literally Hannah had no idea that the trip was even taking place. So the source says she rarely sees or talks to Hannah, but they do have some contact. Jon allows her to go over there anytime she wants, but Kate never asks her to come over. And he says, Kate saying that she is supportive of Hannah is outrageous. She has not given her a birthday present. She didn't even tell Hannah about all of these family trips. So according to the source, Kate doesn't give Hannah gifts, doesn't let her know what's going on with the family. Kate has no contact with Colin, according to Jon. So it seems as though these two children that have left her, she has essentially iced out of her life, which seems to sort of follow a pattern with her. She has disconnected from a lot of her family. She doesn't talk to her. She doesn't speak to most of her siblings. Most notably, her brother Kevin and his wife Jody, who were prominently featured in the series Jon and Kate Plus 8 in the very early years. Once they began speaking out and talking about their concerns about the children, Kate completely disconnected from them and essentially isolated the kids from them and stopped having a relationship with her brother. She has, according to multiple reports, pushed away a lot of her friends, a lot of her family, and she really is only surrounded by people that will benefit her and will support her choice to be on the show, and anyone else that suggests otherwise is gone. There's a lot of blogs on the internet that suggest that Kate has what's called narcissistic personality disorder. Jon himself, when he spoke to the Daily Mail, said that Kate has bipolar disorder and that she has narcissistic personality disorder. Now, obviously, these are Jon's allegations about Kate. She's never confirmed any of this, but I will say I definitely see some of those personality traits with her in terms of if somebody doesn't suit her needs, she doesn't want anything to do with them and she moves on. Her need for control, her artificial and superficial charming behavior, aspects of needing to manipulate and control, needing to appear more affluent than they are, having an overinflated sense of self and ego. It's actually, it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. And again, these are all allegations according to people that know her and Jon Gosselin. So why all of a sudden is Jon speaking out? Well, a 10-year gag order was dropped, and apparently now Kate is starting to freak out, according to an article with Intouch Weekly. So a source connected to Kate told them that Kate seems to be laying low in her fight with Jon, which isn't like her at all. Friends say Kate just doesn't want to open up any wounds, but some say she's afraid that Jon, now that his gag order has been lifted, might be up to something. They added, she's afraid that Jon might get another show, which he's pushing for, and that Hannah and Colin might start talking about what Kate says she doesn't know, but of course she does, the source added. And then they said, but I know Kate, and she won't stand idly by and let Jon tell his side of the story without putting her 2 cents in. The Jon and Kate saga is far from over. At this point, Kate has yet to respond to Jon's comments publicly. And that was from the Intouch Weekly article. I will say that it's not surprising if this is true that she would be fearful of the kids speaking out, because up until this point, it's been a very controlled setting. It's been pretty clear that she has tried to control how her children speak about her on camera, except as Maddie and Kara have gotten older, it's become more apparent that Maddie is not a fan of her mother, is very critical of the choices that her mother makes, and butts heads with her mom a lot. In fact, on the most recent episode, where they talk about Maddie and Kara leaving for college, Maddie says the one thing that she's looking forward more than anything else is leaving home. There's been a lot of sort of peeks in here and there where you can tell that on shows where Maddie and Kate kind of don't really get along. Even on that show, on that same episode, Kate said to her, like, I love you when I don't like you, and I love you when I love you when you're good, and I love you when you're bad. And Maddie was like super snarky and basically implying that like she doesn't want to be around her mom ever. Now, obviously a lot of people will say, well, yeah, this is typical of an 18-year-old, but there's a lot of like people behind the scenes saying that there's some tension between Maddie and Kate. Now, who knows if that's true? But again, allegations. But what I saw in Maddie, I didn't see like a normal teenage girl. I kind of saw a girl that's trying to like peek her hand up and be like telling what she knows, but she's too afraid to say it. And if you remember, a couple years ago, she had the girls on the Today Show, and both of them were very coached and silent and didn't really want to speak ill about their father, but Kate kind of like forced them to, and Kate got super frustrated and was like, just speak, what's wrong with your tongues? And you could kind of tell that the girls just didn't want to go there. And you could often tell that like when they did speak about their dad, it was very much designed around what the message that Kate wanted them to have about Jon get out. So this is kind of where we're at right now. It's really interesting to me to see how this is developing over time, because we have known about this family since like what, 2003 or 4, and to see where it's gone over all of these years, after all of this exposure, after all of this time on reality TV, after all of this time in the spotlight, to sort of to really see the cracks that are forming with these kids. I'm very interested to see if some of these kids will start sharing their stories to either corroborate what Jon is saying, or at least to just speak their truth about what's going on. The problem with a lot of these situations is that children that are raised in environments like this by people that have narcissistic personality disorder, they don't even know that that their parent is abusive, because it's the only thing that they know. So that's why I think like Kara and Maddie being on their own and being able to sort of see the world and figure it out by themselves might kind of open their eyes to different dynamics that they haven't been exposed to, because Kate has kept her kids extremely isolated from everyone around them. They went to private schools. They didn't have the same kind of social like functions or do the same sort of like high school things as other kids did because of their fame. So once they have some anonymity like Maddie and Kara will, I'm interested to see what's gonna happen next. I know a lot of my subscribers say, I can't wait for a tell-all to come from one of these children. And it's not that I necessarily want this to come out. It's more so like I think a lot of us have been feeling like this for a really long time and have just been waiting for these kids to get older. And I think Kate has done a really good job of towing the line and doing everything in a way where she maintains her custody and everything stays legal and nothing bad gets out. But every single family secret and the truth eventually does come out. And if the truth is what Jon would want you to believe, there's a lot here to uncover. I don't know, though, that I'm a supportive of them doing a show to expose her, but maybe it's not so much to expose her, but rather that maybe the kids want to finally have their voice heard. And if that's the case, I would love to hear from Hannah and Colin, to be honest. All right, you guys, I would love to hear what you think about all of this situation. Do you think what Jon says, that Kate has narcissistic personality disorder and bipolar, fits some of what her behavior is? Do you think that Kate is lying about her relationship with Hannah? Do you believe what Jon has said so far? Have you checked out the book by Robert Hoffman? I'm working on trying to get he wrote a book in 2011 that was actually pulled off the shelf that actually took her words directly from her journals. And I'm working on getting a copy of that. I currently only have a copy of the edited version where he paraphrases what she says, which was an agreement between Hoffman and Kate when he republished the book in 2014. I would love to see what her actual words were. All right, you guys, if I get a hold of it, we gonna go through it. Have a great day. Bye.